Hello and welcome back to my channel. In a new video series of sharing my personal experience, which I'm recording in a new setup, I hope you like it. Glory be to Allah, how time goes. It's been 1 year since I obtained my Cisco CCIE security certification. And in this video, I'd like to share my personal experience 1 year after CCIE. Let's begin. Welcome back. For those who don't know what CCIE is, a pop-up link will appear on the screen over here that will explain what CCIE is and what I did to obtain such a high-level certificate. However, for those who knows it, let's start with my personal experience 1 year after CCIE. The first thing that I'd like to say is, getting a CCIE or an expert level doesn't mean that you know everything. Nobody knows everything. It just means that you've studied hard enough to obtain an expert level of certification in a specific target. In my personal case, it's security. But let me express by explaining the pros and cons of getting such level of expert. Let's start with the pros first. The first thing is, you wouldn't be afraid of anything of any network that you might face, because your self-trust will actually be increased because you've worked so much during labs and during work and preparations for the certificate, which makes it easy for you to face any large network or any large environment. And on knowledge-based level, your knowledge is actually increased a lot. You have learned so many technologies in the field of security and in some comprehensive topics as well, which if I want to compare, it may goes around getting from 40 to 60% more knowledge than what you would have learned from the CCNP level. So it makes it a huge boost from a professional to an expert. And if I would compare it to the entry level of security or in the networking field, which corresponds to the CCNA or the associate level, I might say you would have gained up to 80% more knowledge than what you would have been when you began your life career in the networking field. So knowledge-wise, you are more powerful, more knowledgeable, and if you've studied hard enough, you should have known that you're now an expert. Second thing, the trust from your company and especially colleagues in management would have increased significantly because you have studied hard enough, you went through the test, and you've obtained the expert certificate, which makes them pretty much trust you in everything you say. Now you have experience and certificate as well. But what's more important is the trust from the customers of your company. Because as I said in the previous video, basically everyone in your region will know that an expert has appeared and someone passed the expert exam, and you would have obtained so much trust and so much reputation, good reputation from the customers around you, which means you would expect to see more projects and more involvement from your company and customer side. Third thing is you will be more involved into the tasks and preparing for projects than before. Company will involve you more into planning and designing networks due to the great experience that you have being an expert. So you can expect to divert a little bit more into the pre-sales portion, being an architect to develop designs, high-level design, low-level design, and implementation plans more than before, than becoming a normal technician. Now you're an expert, you know more correlation between technologies, so it makes it very much robust for you to design networks and solutions. Pro number 4, which I believe everyone is actually expecting, is the salary increase. Of course, being an expert will mean that you eventually get a salary increase and more involvement in the projects and maybe some shares from the project benefits. That means you have gained more experience, you deserve your salary to be raised. Point number 5, in my opinion, is being an expert and having studied so many technologies during your preparation will eventually lead you to knowing the technologies that you don't know, so you can focus some of your time on studying them or learning them. Because when you're an expert, you know your weakness points, you know what you're missing, and you can have some time to prepare for it. Point number 6 is you'll be more involved into more projects, not even related to Cisco, maybe some other vendors like Fortinet, Palo Alto, Dell, HP, and others. And due to your knowledge of expertise, companies expect you to learn things fast, and you'll be more involved into more correlation and system integration. So that gives you some room to learn more technologies while being part of new projects. The next point is you'll be everyone is watching you, especially on LinkedIn. more job opportunities will come, and even your comments are being watched by everyone, knowing that an expert has commented on some post. I'm just kidding, it's not really that much important, but you would have received more job opportunities from everywhere around the world. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything I could think of that corresponds with the pros of being an expert. Of course, there are many more, but that's all I could think of right now. However, this doesn't mean that you're gonna have a pretty much pinky life, or like every day is a good day. Being an expert does have a pros, but it actually have some cons related to it. And I'll try to name a few, in my opinion, of course. In my opinion, the first con or the first disadvantage I see from being an expert is that everyone expects more from you. Everyone expects you to know everything, which is not typically correct. No one knows everything, as I said in the introduction. But being an expert, everyone thinks that you know everything and you can do everything in the networking field, ignoring the fact that you are specialized in a specific field to begin with. So I think that's a con to make you a little bit steady for your thoughts and what you say, because everything you can say might and will be used against you in the court of law. Second thing is that you will have to be specific of what you say. You need to be 100% sure of what you're saying, and don't be afraid of saying, I don't know, let me have some time to look it up and come back to you with a result or with an answer. Because as I said, related to the first point, everyone expects more from you, so whatever you say can be taken as 100% truth, which is not all the time correct. So you need to be careful of what you say. Third point is, being an expert means you'll be more involved, as I said in the beginning, but looking at it from another perspective, you'll be assigned more big tasks and more heavy tasks, and sometimes they're not even related specifically to Cisco. And of course, if you're migrating to a pre-sales role where you'll be designing solutions and being held accountable for all the decisions that you make, and stupid mistakes might cost you money. So you need to be careful of the solutions and designs that you create as an architect. So eventually, to sum up, more pressure, more tasks on your shoulders. Point number 4 is you'll be forced sometimes to prepare for technologies that are not Cisco related. I mean, sometimes, okay, people think you know Cisco ICE, which is a NAC solution from Cisco, but maybe a project will come with Fortinet NAC or Fortinac. It's pretty much similar to ICE, but you've never seen it, you've never worked with it. So you need to dedicate some time to learn more technologies that are somehow parallel to what you know in the parallel universe of non-Cisco solutions. So I find this one of the cons, because people say you're an expert, you should know this in no time. Point number 5 is whoever gets one will actually think of the second, 2, 3, even 4. Because when you get your first certificate, you will have a validation time of 3 years to renew your current certificate or obtain a new one to keep your record. So some people will say, okay, I will just keep one expert level of security. I will just renew my certificate. You'll need to think of how would you renew it. Will you be collecting learning points, or will you be taking another score exam and one more concentration exam to renew? Or are you actually planning to take another major or another specification, for example, deviating to enterprise data center, collaboration, service provider, or whatever other majors that you might think of? So that on itself puts on some pressure. When the time comes to your renewal, you need to prepare more to keep your record and keep your magical 5 numbers. So these were the most pros and cons I could think of, in my opinion, as my own personal experience 1 year after CCIE. I hope you find this video useful and I could share something that you learned from. I think this is a good summarization of a personal experience after working and teaching people for 1 year. I hope to see you on the next one. Peace.